right. Greetings, everyone. How's everyone doing this wonderful evening? So hopefully everyone is doing well. We are going to get started here shortly. We have about 2 minutes. And welcome to our April DC Buzz. And yes, it did fall in the month of May. We know. It confused us as well. But thank you all for being here. We'll give everybody 1 more minute here to come on in. And yes, let's get started. And as we see, Bob Truitt says hello to everyone. Bob, you sent that directly to me, by the way. But Bob says hello, everyone. Bob Truitt's in the house. And I want to give a special shout out to my wonderful co-host, Mr. Alan Harris. Thank you for being here with me and our wonderful guests that are here, our alumni. Thank you. Thank you. We are looking forward to hearing from each of you. Awesome. Awesome. All right. All right. 1 more minute. I'm trying to see, did Carl get into the session yet?
I saw him pop up, but
okay.
Yeah, I see him.
Okay. I just want to make sure. All right. Welcome, Carl. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Shaun. I see all of you. Thank you all for being here. All right. Well, we're going to get started here. This is exciting. All right. There's Shaun Jones. I see you. I see you. All right. Alan, is it okay we get started? It's official 8 p.m., right? Eastern time, at least somewhere.
I haven't seen. Let me see. I don't think I've seen Carl say. Oh, no, there he is. He's on the thing now. Yep, we are ready.
We are ready. What's that? Okay.
I need extra credit. I'm so sorry, babe.
All right. Let's probably someone is on the mic. We got it. Cool. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our April DC Buzz. I want to welcome our special guests, Chris Skomra, Shaun Jones, Carl Crosby. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. We're super excited to hear from you all. How are y'all doing today?
Hanging in there. Thanks for having us today.
Awesome. What's up, Chris?
Doing well.
Awesome.
It's busy, doing what I love, you know?
Awesome. That is always great to hear. Carl, what about you?
Carl, you're muted, Carl.
Yeah, there you go. Let's unmute you there. There you go. How you doing on your end, Carl?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Okay. Been a busy day today. Basically working stuff, not for basically building props for the Lions Club.
Oh, okay. Sweet. That's sweet. That's some very nice things. Oh, yeah. That's super awesome. So let's get this wonderful interview started. I'm sure all of our wonderful, amazing students have so many questions for you. So, of course, my biggest question is usually I guess you call it the icebreaker question. What made you decide to come to Full Sail University and do the digital cinematography program? So let's start with Carl first.
Oh, let's see. COVID hit, shut everything down because I was working in the industry. Working from concerts to movies and things like that. So everything shut down. And that's the reason I went back to school.
Nice. Awesome. What about you, Shaun?
Well, me, let me say this, a couple of years back, I always was admired by what people do on films and movie making. I was never the one to think that I would be the one behind the camera doing what they do. You know, I never really thought about it. But what started me off was my son. He had a YouTube channel that he wanted to start. You know, it took me a while to try to, because I didn't know how to record nothing. I didn't know anything about camera. So he inspired me to get into filming. So I used my iPhone to film him, and I use all these different colors. How you first do something, everything looking all tacky, but I did something. I did edit something. I know how to use the apps, but add music to it, and I started to learn a lot more. So I was wondering, what? I kept doing it for a few months, and I realized I was getting better with my skills. My wife just encouraged me you might as well just go to school for it. So here I am now, after graduating. Now I'm actually doing a reality show called Youth and Teen on the Move. It's like a dance mom show. I've done a musical video that's hitting the charts. It's been playing on the radio. Gospel. It was a whole bunch of other things. I could talk about that a little later, but just trying to get myself into more of this here. I'm learning. I'm always a student, so I'm always asking questions.
Yeah, oh yeah. And one thing I do
absolutely
love about Shaun, he does communicate with me often. Even though he's graduated, he's one that keeps me in a loop if ever he has a question, a concern. And that's what we want for our students and our graduates. If you ever need anything, we're here. It's not just you graduate and you move on. We're here to assist you even through that moving forward too. So it's a really great friendship that we have. And so we, want to encourage you all to keep that going. Now, Chris, we got to hear from you now. What was your experience? Why Full Sail? Why the digital cinematography program?
Thank you, Mr. Diltz. And hi, everybody. Hope you all can hear me and see me all right. I ended up taking digital cinematography for a few different reasons. The main thing was the flexibility, the ability to be out in the field and working while also gaining advanced education, as well as obviously the fact that you're working towards a higher goal and a degree. So I wanted to grow in my craft and be able to advance the knowledge that I already had. Prior to coming to Full Sail, I had worked in a freelance capacity for probably about 7 years or so in the film and video industry. And I'd also had education, both self-taught and from a career center. So I was going from that mindset into an advanced college degree. So that's the nutshell.
Awesome. I love that. I love it. So tell us, Carl, about your experience at Full Sail. What was the overall experience for you in our program?
The overall experience with Full Sail, I've had the opportunity to work from the ground up in film and in the film industry, and starting way back when 8mm cameras on up to 35 millimeters handheld to full blown cameras, Panasonic cameras. I always had the chance to have all bits and pieces working with it, but never had a chance to putting it all together. The one thing I wanted to get from the college, which helped, was the producing side, the paperwork side. And that's the one. And when I had the opportunity to go back to school, and that's what I did. Does that kind of answer your question, what you're looking for?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. What was your experience like at Full Sail, Shaun?
Well, my experience, it was great. It was wonderful. Like just being able to just dive in to the classes. I think the classes were pretty self-explanatory. It was easy for me. Some classes were a little more challenging, but I like that because I learned a lot. It was good because there's something I had a lot of questions, a lot of things that I didn't know how to shoot. I didn't know a lot that I was being taught from the frame rate and your shot types, your lines, everything. So I felt like being at Full Sail was a challenge. It was a great challenge for me, and I felt like it was somewhere that I can push myself and grow, and learn from other students too. I found myself communicating with other students, learning from them. They learn from me. We learn from each other. We push, and we just try to do the next project better the next time. But it was great. It was wonderful. It was life changing. And me being I started when I was in my 40s. I'm in my 40s. I'm 45 now. And I felt like Full Sail didn't make me feel like I was too old to start. So, it was a new experience. So, it was great. Nothing more I can say about it,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we
Right.
have all ages in our program. So that's
Absolutely.
a blessing. Chris, what about you? How was your experience at Full Sail?
Thanks for asking. To maybe address the opposite end of that age spectrum, I was taking classes with Full Sail, and I graduated before I was legally able to drink. So I just finished by the skin of my teeth by almost age 21 with DCBS. So to come from the opposite side, as someone who's really quote unquote young to be able to go into the program, it wasn't difficult. The instructors made it easy. The instructions were well thought out. A caveat that I will say, though, is I was in school and I even had classes with you, Mr. Diltz, when we were going through this whole COVID thing. So
Oh,
I won't
yeah.
deviate into that too much, but that made it a challenge because you weren't able to actually go out and shoot some of the more typical projects that would involve other crew or other people. So
Yeah.
thankfully, I was able to rely on my previous skill set of being self-driven and doing things on my own. It's not something I really recommend when you want to really reach for the high levels in production. It really is a team-based sport at the end of the day. However, my experience with Full Sail was very beneficial because it allowed me to fill in some knowledge gaps that from my previous experience I wasn't aware of. I was able to pick up lots of small tidbits. And that's another thing about my experience that was a little bit different, possibly, is I had already been working professionally, but even coming into the program as a quote unquote, seasoned young green crew member, I was able to get a lot out of this. So that's the wrap up of that.
Nice. Awesome. I love that. I really do. So yeah, COVID was a very tough time for all of us. So it was, even just on this side, trying to figure out how to keep our students encouraged during that season was, yeah, it was something, but we got through it, right? We all got through it and we moved forward in a positive direction. So, but yes, thank you. Beautiful answer. I just want to remind everyone, don't forget to check out career development. All right, an awesome department over there that does a lot of great things for our graduates as well as our students to prepare for graduation. So make sure you all check them out. All right, and we have some links that Alan put in the box, so just make sure you check that out. Now, so with our courses, being especially on the online world, I was able to do the film program on campus. And then, of course, I did a couple degrees online, which is a totally different experience. So my hat's off to all of you for going through that in such a big program as ours. How would you say that our students, what sets you up for success coming from one course to the next? You know, being in course, we have 4 weeks. It goes by super fast. How do you prepare yourself? I'm going to start with you, Chris, since you're already up here. So how did you prepare yourself for success moving from one course to the next in such a fast program as ours?
Great, and thank you. So I'm not sure exactly where everyone is in their degree right now in terms of what month you're on. But as everyone knows, it's roughly a 29, 28, 27-month program, depending on what you've done previously. What really helped me excel, obviously, on top of time management and being able to get things done on time, was to be able to develop what I call a secret weapon. And this is something I tell people whenever they're getting into the industry or say you want to be a PA or a grip. It's finding that one thing that kind of sets you apart. Mr. Diltz, I don't remember if I did this with you or if you might remember, but one thing I always try to do with every instructor that I went through with Full Sail was reach out to them before the class started and say, hey, hi, my name's Chris. Nice to meet you. Can I set up a quick meeting with you to talk class expectations? And I would ask a couple key questions. The main one being, what are some things that you see students that go through your class do that you wish they didn't? Or what holes did you see them fall into that I can avoid? And what are some things that you do see successful students do that I can try and implement into my workflow? So asking questions like that, developing those things that set you apart is something really important that I think everyone can do. Other than that, the other thing was just being the first person to respond to the discussion boards. So if you see somebody that just puts out an idea or a response or a thought onto this discussion boards, try to make friends. It's an online degree. It's very disconnected by nature. And so you're only helping your network if you can build that.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Definitely great answer. What about you, Shaun? How do you set yourself up for success when you were in the program?
Well, me, that's a good question. Well, for success, like pretty much like Chris said a lot, that was really good what he said. But pretty much, I agree with communication, like with your peers, make friends, and keep asking questions, like things that you don't understand, because I had you as an instructor too, and you like I found out that Full Sail's like every teacher that I had, every instructor that I had, I was able to reach out and ask questions, like, let's talk, and they respond back with the right answers and set meetings up to make it easier. If you don't understand something, you just gotta understand it. You should not ever if you have a question, don't leave it unanswered. Like, just find out what that question is and ask your instructor, talk to some of your peers, find out what they do, like, just try to, like, make it make sense pretty much. So so like what I do also is I look at other projects too, like not from school, but like on YouTube, on different things and how they accomplished what they did too as well. So you learn from school, but you gotta like stretch yourself out pretty much. Like pretty much when we was learning how to shoot, I took it upon myself to take it another step ahead. Like I saw a lot of projects that was done. There was good looking projects. I saw like shot types, lighting well done, but the sounds, like, you know, I was telling everybody, make sure your sounds are good. Find out how to get those sounds. A lot of people like have the FS, well, I have an FS5 camera, their mic on the camera, and they shoot their projects well lit, look nice, but you can't hear it. You know, because if you know, so I had to like do my own research, how to use a live mic, how to use a shotgun mic. So that's what I had in my project. That's why I got higher grades, because my sounds were good. I make sure my shots, every shot, I make sure I took the time to make sure that's art, like it looks like art. Every shot has to look like art to you. You know what I'm saying? You can't just do any kind of way. Make sure you zoom in, make sure it's not blurry. So I took the time to take those steps. You got to take your time. You can't rush on a project. So that's what I would say will set you up for success, pretty much. You know, pay attention to your sound level. Do more research. If you're not like being taught certain things in school, do more research. Look up on YouTube. How do you get the best sound? Everybody doesn't have a good YouTube video. That's one thing I learned too. Everybody doesn't have good tutorial videos. So you got to find which one works for you. Pay attention to that stuff. So that's what I would say. So that works for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's great. What about you, Carl? How did you prepare for success in each course?
Again, looking ahead at the end, looking ahead, what was offered, what your description of the course was, reaching out to the instructors beforehand. That was a big thing, just to say introduction of who I am, and trying to find a line of communication with the instructor. That's the first thing. The second thing is, whenever you got your assignment opened up to you, read ahead, get a head start on it, so you're not waiting to the last minute to get it done. That's a lot of students I've saw, fellow students, were waiting to the last minute to get all their work done. I usually had my stuff done completed by Friday, and that's with a work schedule. That gave me the weekend in case something goofed up. I had the weekend to fix.
Oh yeah, yes, that's important. Definitely important. And I'm always trying to encourage students to get their work done if they can before, so they can rest, you know, and prepare for the next week, especially when you're getting ready to transition into that new course. So that's something I'm always trying to encourage. But no, I love it. Great answers from all of you. My next question would be, what was your favorite course in the program? And you don't have to choose me. Don't feel like you have to choose me. You know, I'm not mad at you. Chris, what about you?
Oh, putting me on the spot. I would, so if you're okay with it, I'm going to tell a little story with this as to why it's my
Oh,
favorite.
okay.
So I'm not sure if it's been renamed by now or anything, so I'm just going to use a generality. My favorite course was the producing course, not just
Oh, yeah.
because it's what I pursue now. I do a lot of technician work, and just today I was in post-production at our studio with a client. But I'm mainly pursuing producing, logistics, production management, that kind of stuff. So when we were inside of that course, I forget the instructor's name, but she was very nice.
Jennifer Miller. Yeah, yes.
Most likely Miss Miller. I was
Yes.
with her in her class for obviously a month, but inside of that month, for 2 or 3 weeks out of that 4-week time span, I was actually scheduled to be day playing and regularly appearing on a feature film, which, as you can probably imagine, makes the experience of having to also get your schoolwork done pretty tricky. Thankfully, since I was enrolled in DCBS, I was able to have some flexibility there. But it came at a price, and I was at a crossroads. And this is why it was one of my favorite courses to go through, because I was faced with either learning about what I wanted to do or actually doing it. And my instructor was able to help me get just across the finish line at the cost of my grade in order to actually go out and do what I was learning how to do. So what's the moral of that story? I would say, obviously, get your schoolwork done, make sure you can pass the class. But if you're asking an opinion from me, I might catch some slack for saying this on a, official school webinar, but always make sure that you can, at the end of the day, go out and be prepared and execute on what you're learning. There's not much more to it than that, but I just found it to be kind of ironic that what I was
Yes.
I was being prevented from uh, doing my classes because I was actually out there doing what I wanted to do with the education. So
Oh,
that's that.
yes. Awesome. Awesome. That would make Professor Miller very proud. She is an awesome course director. So, yes, that was a great one. Great one, Chris. What about you, Shaun?
All right, you know you're gonna be always one of my favorite instructors. You know that already. But I like how you present your class and everything you taught. But and I learned a lot from you. Of course, I'm still learning from you. You always hit you up. You know that. But I would say I'm still also in touch with Mr. Randy Baker. But I would say his class challenged me a lot on a certain level because
Oh,
it was that was this class producing? It's been a while now. Was it
oh,
Randy Baker's class?
yes.
Yeah.
Trying to remember.
CVD,
Yes, CVD,
I
you
think
saying?
yeah. It's
Okay.
been a
composition of
while.
visual
It's still the
design.
same. Yeah.
Okay. See, yeah. So because you know what? Because he said go for it, right? When he told me to go for it, listen, it's like a spark hit me, and I was like, go for it. Like, I want to like just do my best work. I want my work to stand out. So that's when I was really like encouraged to like, to tackle it. I think your class came after it. I forget. It was a while,
Yeah, it changed. Yeah.
I forgot which class I made that short film I did called The Kick. You saw it with the lady praying and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, that really challenged me. So I was able to like, really take that piece and like I never wrote anything before like that, and it's like I found out when I challenged myself, when you challenge yourself, you find out you start to flow. Just go with the flow with it, go with the flow, make sure it makes sense. So I was using all of the tools that I was taught by um how you introduce something, like how you present something. I forgot the
Mhm.
name of forgive me for that. You taught you like a picture story pretty much. When you do your pitch, you write off the pitch and you just get more involved with it with the writing and you learn how to do your pages and like you learn the method of writing pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
So the writing helped me too. And then when I went to shoot what I wrote, it was like all in steps. All those steps you gotta take. You can't skip steps pretty much. So I would say Randy Baker's class really like challenged me a lot to like really push, and then all the other classes like just flowed with it. I think we did something in one class, wrote the script, and shot it in another class. I think, like I said, it was a while ago. So
Oh, yeah.
pretty
No.
much, yeah,
No, that's
it was
great.
good.
That's an
Yeah,
awesome course, and we always preparing our students for Mr. Randy Baker's course because we know that's
man.
an eye opener. But it's
Yes, and I got an
amazing. It's
award in that
amazing.
class, by the way, too. He
Look
awarded
at
me
that.
and I was shocked. He told I was like because I think every class you do, you really should push. You really should
Mhm.
do your best work because those awards don't take it lightly. That stands
Yeah.
out. That's what make you should be real proud of that. And I was honored to get an award like that. And he told me he hasn't done that in a while. So I'm like, wow, I was very honored,
Yeah.
and that helped me to push more. I want to get another one. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's
Uh,
awesome. You get an award from Randy Baker, you someone special. Just know that.
I'm honored. I'm
Just know
honored.
that. Just know that. So yes, Carl, what about you? What was your favorite course in the program?
Actually, I enjoyed several of them. Yours was one, Ronald. Yours was one of them. But looking back and combining all those different things, such as like you were saying before, Shaun had mentioned about the writing aspect, creating the story, seeing the story go from the story to plotting it out, what you wanted to create, and filming it, getting all the pieces together. There was a 3-month time frame that we did that with to follow from one step to the other. That combination of the 3 items was really good, showing how what you're learning early on will play together in creating a movie, a finished product. As he's saying, you've won awards with Randy. I've won awards as well, which is nice. I've also won awards taking some of the films that I've created in Full Sail short films and putting them in the film competitions. I put them in the. I was suggested put him. I had been suggested to put them in the film competitions. So I do. I put it. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. And right now, I've won 12 awards in international film competitions with my
Wow.
films.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
Yes.
it's like that goes onto your portfolio so you can use it
Mhm.
to say, okay, I know what I'm doing. Here you go. People can go look it up. Big thing on that is your portfolio. Building your portfolio is a key factor. That was another key factor there. So that the people that you're going to applying for jobs, they can go and look at your work to see what you've done. That is a big factor right there. If you have any awards, what you have in the background, putting that into your portfolio is a huge factor. In this business, it's a lot of it's who you know. That's why the alumni deal is helping and keeping in contact with your fellow students is a big factor. The other thing is what's on your portfolio. Unlike it's what they want to look at, what you can do. What have you done in the past to get the job? A lot of these students are coming in right out saying, I'm just a student. I've never done anything. Well, these courses have shown you that you can do things. And that's why your resume and portfolio is very important to show you what you've accomplished.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right about that. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. What would you say was the toughest course for you, Chris? I see the smile.
Once again, on the spot, I would probably say that it had to have been one of the writing courses or the part of the program where you had to go in and really do script development. So personally, I'm a very logistics, logic, and execution oriented type of person. And so the creative side does come naturally somewhat, but writing is probably one of my weakest points. And it wasn't really the instructor or the material, it was just the process. And so that course was a chance for me to be able to sharpen up those skills. And you'll have that. No one's perfect. Right. When you come into something like DCBS, you're able to get a really good grip on everything and aspects of production, whether it's execution, planning, creative. You'll get a chance to dip into everything, unlike some other programs where you only focus on camera or you just go in for sound and stuff like that. So that's a big benefit that you can get from being with Full Sail and DCBS. The largest thing, though, would probably just be that development of creative.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. I love that. And the fact that you're sharing, okay, this was a tough course, you made it through, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's very important for us to know, because we all know when we're going through something and it's tough, we don't see the end of the road. We just like, yo, I'm trying to get through this right now. But yeah, you made it through. You all made it through. What about you, Shaun? What was the toughest course you would say for you?
Besides the algebra course, that was pretty tough right there. That was pretty tough, and I know it was necessary, but that was a challenge for me. But I got through it. I would say the same as Chris. The writing out first was a little challenging for me. But the more I started writing more and expounding my questions, and my answers, it became easier. You know how you write, and don't use plagiarism. You could like look up stuff, but use your own words, because you don't want to be accused of plagiarism. But I would say writing too. So that's it pretty much. Everything else I don't remember being like hard. It was one of the course, I forget who did this course. Was it Abby? I don't know. It was when putting you remember those programs that they give you in the beginning of the course where you have to write up all your stuff that you're going to be using, and what is that again? I forgot. It was 2 apps that we had. You write all your background stuff. What do you need for this production? Like how many cameras, and how many that was a little challenging. I actually had to get help on that particular course. I want to say the right name so whoever's listening, I can let them know which course that is. If I remember, I'll get back.
Let us know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember.
Was it the budgeting program?
Yes, budgeting. Yeah, budgeting. Yep. It actually wasn't hard at the end. I just had to get a little help with that, and plus I had some challenges too at my house, because it was during COVID. and
Oh,
that was challenging in itself, because I was sick a few times during COVID and had to
yeah.
get over my cold. So like, I really wasn't concentrating. So that kind of made it a little more challenging. So,
Yeah.
but I got through it with some extra help.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was producing. Because I know you go over
It could
budget
have
in the
been, it could
producing.
have been producing. It could have been.
Yeah,
It was a woman teacher.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Professor Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Carl, what about you? What would you say
Actually, what I
was the
found
toughest?
was the difficult class for me was the movie analysis, and the way
Oh,
the
yeah.
instructor put it together gives you or you can choose 3 movies. Give me the storyline that they're all what can tell me about the story. Don't give me a plot line. Don't give me this. Trying to figure out a way to create it and write it so it gives a good analysis of what it is. That was difficult for me.
Yeah, film criticism. Yep, Bob called it. Yes. So yeah, these are all sound like some difficult courses. I will be honest. So I understand totally, totally, especially with the math. You're like, wait, I'm in cinematography, a cinematography program. Well, I got to do math. So yeah, so those prereqs, I understand. Shaun, let's call you out first on this one.
Okay.
What advice can you give our students that are preparing for graduation?
All right. Well, prepare for graduation. Like, you mean like as far as when they do graduate the day of, or
Yeah, as they're
okay.
getting closer. So, like in that, let's say in that
Oh,
three
yeah.
month window, as you prepare, yeah, as they're preparing.
Okay. I would just do your best, pay attention to all your classes, like even before you graduate, like just don't take the courses in vain. Like just knock them out and really go back to studying. Study your notes, write down your notes, pay attention to the course. Try to get in a live course. Contact your instructors. Know like what the class offers, and know what the importance of the class are. I think the last thing that I've done was like a commercial, something like that. We had to do a commercial, I believe, and just do your best work. Do your best work. Pay attention. Like just like I always say, always look at everybody else's work. Take notes from your other students while you're in the class, and try to challenge yourself. Do better. Just challenge yourself, and like pay attention to your sounds. Like I said before, your sounds, your lighting, everything. Just pay attention to all of that. And then when the day you graduate, just make sure if you got awards, make sure you keep up with those things, because when you get there, I think I have 5 awards, and they only called out 1, and that was a little upsetting. So I would say, if you get an award, make sure you like put it in the folder. Make sure you bring them with you so you can let them know that. That's all I have right now. Just do your best, and when you graduate, it's amazing. Try to get there to the place. If you're an online student, just try to get there, because it'll be a life-changing situation for you.
Awesome, awesome. What about you, Chris?
My son.
What about you, Chris? What advice can you give students preparing for graduation?
For those who are preparing to actually graduate, again, I'm not sure who else is in here or not and where you guys are at in your program, but I would have 2 or 3 really good notes to think about. The first is network. And if you think about it a certain way, you guys are eventually, or maybe right now, are preparing to go out into the real world and actually start doing what you've been learning how to do. And so it's not just, as everyone knows, what you know, but who you know. I think Carl touched on that earlier. Who you know is extremely important. So depending on where you're at in your local region, start doing some research, in those 1 to 3 months up until graduation. Maybe start looking up who's in your area that works in the department you want to pursue. For me, I would look up producers and say like, hey, can I take you out to coffee? Can we grab lunch? I want to start getting on set. Thankfully, I already had a really great network because I'd been freelancing throughout my time in Full Sail. But let's maybe put ourselves in the shoes of someone who was just getting started, or you've never touched a camera before in your life before you took this program. That is a really great way to get to meet new friends and new people that will bring you onto projects. So getting into a mindset where you are starting to make friends and do work in the industry professionally is something that you can really focus on before graduating. The second thing would be to practice. You're given a chance. If I remember correctly, we were provided an opportunity to critique our fellow students' portfolios. I believe in the last month, maybe it was the second to last. This is a really great chance for you to be able to see other people's work and not only give them some tips and not only congratulate them on, making it through, but also maybe do some comparing work and see who's worth hanging on to and who's worth making sure that maybe if you know more than them, you can help them out after they graduate and help everybody further along. Rising tides makes all ships. That type of scenario. So there's a lot of great things you can do, but those are just two really important and helpful things.
Awesome. I love it. Great answers. Great answers. What about you, Carl? What advice can you give students preparing for graduation?
I graduated in December. December was time frame when it turned out that everything was behind schedule when it come to graduation because of the holidays. So as he pointed out, any awards and things like that, I gave the people the information for my awards. Nothing was announced beforehand. Okay, during the graduation, I got a chance to be at Full Sail for graduation. If you can go down to be there, it's a great experience for you to do. Follow the instructions that you get with the package that they give you. That way, if you're prepared for it, you get it all done. You won't have any hiccups or surprises beforehand. That made a big difference for a lot of people. There are a few people that didn't follow the instructions, and when they got there, they were scrambling to try to make things work. So that's some of the big things there. Do your research on what you're available. One of the things, the last classes I had was to find out what's available in the area for job-wise. I already knew because I've been in the industry, but if you start looking now, no matter what stage of your graduation you are before you graduate, go to your local TV stations. Some areas, since it's an online course, you may be in Podunk, Egypt, or wherever, in the middle of nowhere, to where it's a problem where you have nobody doing film other than you going to the class. You can find out your local news stations and television stations to see what they have available if they have internships. If you're brand new to this, internship is a great way to get your feet wet. This way, I did a lot of stuff for free. I worked on some movie sets for free just to get my feet wet, to see what it was like. This is something I want to pursue. Now, I learned a lesson that it's feast or famine when it comes to this business. If you have a regular paying job, do this on the weekends. If this is what your passion is, you can find jobs out there, may not pay the greatest money, but if it's your passion and you can pay the bills, that's a big thing. But have a regular job that you can pay your bills with. Second thing is you can do this until you can make big money or enough money to pay your bills. Both of those work. Producing is one of the things that if you get known, such as Chris is doing now, getting known for what you're doing, you can make a living doing as producing. I've made a living as a cameraman, but I've worked for a variety of different companies, from inside of the NFL to movies. In a sense, you think inside of the NFL, you make good money. You do, but it's the football season. You don't make it the rest of the year. So I did other things. It's a feast or famine type work. That's what you're looking at in this industry. So if you like working for other people and like doing individual jobs, camera work, grip, folio, any of that stuff, if you get in the niche market, if you're in the right area, Atlanta is a good area, as an example. Alexandria, Louisiana, not necessarily. I'm not there. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. This is not a good area. Orlando is a great area. But depending on where you are, if you're willing to move around, to go around to different places, when you graduate, that's something to consider. If you have a family, sometimes that's not something you can consider. But still, if you want to do things in the film industry, use the equipment that they provide you for school. Just be creative, go out and do it. Do it for yourself. You can take and put the stuff out on film festivals. There are free film freeway is an example. It's free. You can get on there and it's free. You can put your films up there for free films, or you can pay for paid ones. The bigger ones, such as Cannes, it's paid to get in there and try to get in there. It's good, prestigious stuff. I made out of 25,000 entries. My short film made it in the top 300. I didn't make the 200 cut, but I got notified when it got the 300 cut.
Nice.
That out of that many cuts is really good, but it shows that I need work still to make my stuff better. If you look at the film festivals, don't look at, oh, they turned me down, or they're not looking at it. They've got so many films coming in, and that you're looking at. You can do this while you're in school. Take the films that you're creating, put them out there. They've got so many films that they're trying to get out and look at. They say, A, we accept it. They'll show it. B, you've won an award. C, you're not accepted at all. Reach out to them and say, why, if it wasn't accepted, I'm looking for feedback. I'm a student at Full Sail University. Can you give me feedback on the film? What was wrong with my film? I would like to improve it. Always ask for what they can do. You can do to improve it. Use it as a learning tool, not as a criticism. That and coming out and graduating, getting stuff. I've got stuff that I put in while I was still in school that are still out in the film festivals. I'm getting back. Some are saying, hey, we like it. We're showing it. B, we didn't look at Cannes. I just got notified that it wasn't accepted because it made the top 300, but not the top 200 that they're showing. Okay, I'm proud of that. Not a bad deal out of 25,000, 20, I think it's 27,000 on that one. But it gives you an idea where you're at. That tells me I need to improve my film and what I'm writing. Reaching out to them, a lot of them will reply to you. A lot of them will totally ignore you. Don't be discouraged by that. Just keep plugging. And I said, the film festivals are just that. Most of them you won't get awards, or you won't get money for. And you can put some of them in there just to get reviews on your film, to get that and tell where you're at. Learn what you can in school. It's a good tool for what you're creating. At the end of the school, they're going to say, here's a lot of possibilities what you can look at. They're giving you good resources to look for jobs. What I found they don't give you is resources to get your films funded. That is one thing that they don't have. But there are sources out there. If I can, I'll give you a link to it in the chat area, to where you can go and look at, where's the link at here in the chat? It's a subscribe deal, but you can look at the free ones just to give you an idea. This is Film Daily, TV and production. They show you where you can get grants for your films. And they tell you what your requirements are. This is a way to get funding. If you want to be an independent filmmaker, you're going to have to get paid somehow. You have to put food on the table. You have to put a roof over your head. This is one way you can do it.
Wow. Amazing, 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 Carl. Thank you so much for all of that great information. And if you can share those links too, that would be great, for the students.
I just put one of them up there for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to squeeze one more question in here for y'all before we open up for questions. I'm trying to make this more personal from just your background that I know of. Shaun, you've worked with some clients recently, a lot of clients,
Yeah.
What are some key elements that our students should know when preparing to work with clients or working with clients in general? What are some key elements they need to know to be successful?
Well, pretty much from my perspective, you just have to know what you're talking about. You want them to feel comfortable with you. Talk to them, do your research first. I always say that. Make sure you write all your questions out that you have for them, and be prepared to answer their questions pretty much. Just take a certain time to talk to them. Sometimes you have to give them make a schedule to call with them to talk and ask them what they need. Ask for a layout pretty much, what they're looking for, so that way you know how to treat their project pretty much. And from what they tell you and the ideas that they have, you then would create something, it's called a treatment. You know, we learned about treatments, how you put like, you know, their video together, like from ideas of different pictures you can grab from Google, just make it look nice, professional, whatever. And so that way you can give them the idea. Like depending on what you're doing, if you want to shoot like some scenes, like a short film scenes for a client, that's you do that then. But maybe if you were doing like maybe a comedy show, because I've done a lot of comedy shows, you know, pretty much I just do what I do. I ask them what kind of angles they're looking for, and then I just set my cameras up and I just shoot like I'll show them what I've done before. You know, if you have work to show your work, like show what you've done pretty much. That's how I will prepare for clients so far. Like I said, one time I did a gospel video for a Stellar Award winner gospel artist named Jeff Roberson. He won a Stellar Award one time for one of the songs that he did before, but now he's going again. The video that I did for him now, that's what I did. I did a treatment for this one because it was like pretty much like scenes, different scenes. So I did a treatment for him, a layout, you know, pretty much. And so he liked the idea. And so we did just that. And it was like, you know, I thought it came out better than what we had spoken about, you know, so we was able to maneuver different scenes and stuff like that. So
nice. Awesome. Chris, now I know from the producing standpoint, I know you have a lot of great information to tell us. How can our students prepare to work with other filmmakers and have success with that? What key elements do they need to have for that?
Ooh, you're changing it up on me. So I would say that one of the first things to think about is let's start with clients, right? So communication is, in my opinion, one of the most important things. You are entering into a relationship with somebody else who's going to pay you money to do what you love to do. What's important about that is that you need to always be making sure that you are communicating the scope, the deliverable, asking great questions, and essentially putting them first. And that kind of ties into my next point, which is make it an experience, not a production. So you're like, wait a minute, Chris, this is a degree about production and filmmaking. What does that mean? It comes down to authenticity, meaning the client is just another person. They are people, in some cases, groups of people. They'll be able to smell out any BS or any of your as to what was already said, which is, know what you're talking about. They'll be able to tell if you're just winging it. So that also ties in to make sure you're prepared when you're going into these meetings and when you're going on to set to work with them. Don't push off the pre-production. Make sure you focus on getting all of your ducks in a row and putting out as many fires as you can before you get onto sets. All you got to do is worry about making cool things with your friends and making sure your clients are happy. And speaking of your friends, that leads into the third point, which is take care of your crew and they'll take care of you. I know not everybody here wants to be a producer. Maybe you want to be a DP, maybe you want to be a gaffer, maybe you want to be even a sound recordist. All three of those roles can be classified as department heads. And again, not sure where everyone is in the degree, but a department head is essentially someone who is in charge of other people, other crew members underneath of them, otherwise known as keys as well. That means you are responsible for making sure that you take care of those working underneath you. The client, tying it back into them at the end of the day, will be very happy with what you can deliver, as a production company or as a producer. It's not just you, though. It's the rest of the crew. So if everyone who's working for you is happy, they're going to do a better job. And so that's why it's important to take care of your people.
Awesome, Chris. The fact that you're talking about putting out fires, I know you are deep in the producing role because we know that saying all too well. So yes, man, keep up the great work on that end. Carl, with your experience, we know you have worked with so many people. Tell us, how can our students be prepared to work with other filmmakers? What key elements do you think they should have?
Keep an open mind to listen to the people around you. Quite often, the people around you have more experience in whatever field you're going to. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you're just getting into it. The big thing is, good example, if you're directing a film for your student films, go in. If you have your first read, you've written the script, you know what it's all about. Now you have actors. Do an open read with the actors. The actors may come up and say, oh, maybe this person's not going to say this. How can we rewrite it? Don't get upset about it. take that in consideration. If it's logical to you, go ahead and rewrite it. Be open to it. That's the same way with lighting. If somebody says it could be lit better this way and it makes sense, do it. Sound, placing microphones on a boom stand versus putting it on a camera is a big factor there. I always use a boom mic. Putting it above the speaker's head and making sure it's not in the camera's the frame. That's a big factor there. But get you the best quality sound that you can get. You have people out there that have been doing this for years that if you're going into the industry, learn from them. Don't be afraid to ask questions. But remember to also keep your mouth shut and sit back and watch. You'll learn so much more that way instead of trying to show that you know everything.
Oh, yeah. That is very important. Very important. Man, what some great answers. Thank you all. Now, are we ready for some questions? I know I've seen some questions come in. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Alan Harris, my co-host, for some questions.
Yeah, so everyone go ahead and post some questions. Of course, we won't be able to get to everybody tonight, but we'll be going down the list. So one of the first questions we had, and this is addressed to everybody, what skill would you say in the last, let's just say 6 months, that you learned from Full Sail has been really helping you excel in the projects you've been doing recently? So is there like kind of one or maybe even two skill sets that you learned at Full Sail that's been really, really helping you?
Hands down would be mic placement for me. Just being able to know where to put the boom mic or where to put the lav. That's something I wasn't really familiar with going into this program.
Learning the new camera equipment. I've been watching the changing of equipment on a constant basis. That's always something that's a good skill to have. Learning, keeping up to date with all the new equipment that you've got coming in.
Well, what I would say with me, I shoot with 2 different cameras. Well, I use Sony cameras, right? You know, I have the FS5 and I use like the A6400, and it's an 8-bit camera. So you're gonna have a difference of color grading, different lens. So when you have to like know how to match the colors, really take your time, ask questions, do your research, because sometimes when you first start out, you might not have a big budget, you might have to like just use what you have. Just try to master what you have. Take your time, do some test shooting, do some test color grading, make sure your color grades are matching at the best you can. That's one thing that I'm currently learning now, and still, until we have the budget to get the right equipment that you really need, you got to work with what you have,
Yeah, and that's a great point, because equipment is going to help you do things quicker, but that doesn't mean just because you don't have the equipment, you can't get the job done. So yeah, and being adaptable is amazing, is one of the key assets on a set. So thank you, all three of you. Next question, again, addressed to everybody. When it comes to editing and like cataloging clips at the, dailies, things like that, then actually editing a project together, what would you say that actually means to a client? So let me put it in a different way too. Of course, a lot of you are working with clients who maybe not know exactly what they're asking for. So how do you kind of prepare the things you're about to present them in a way that they understand and also understand how it can be improved on, if you're kind of understanding what I'm meaning here?
I can tackle that first if we're okay with that. Mainly just because I was literally in a post session hours ago. So hopefully to keep it short so we can get to more questions. I often work as a permalancer in the local industry. So I live in the Midwest. Columbus, Ohio is the market that I'm in. There's a company here called Planetary Media that I am a permalancer with. One of the head producers there, he's been in the field for 30 years, recognized my ability to edit as well as work as a technician and also produce. So I get brought in to work with one of our clients, Abbott Labs, and they like to do over-the-shoulder editing. Now, a lot of you guys, since you're working remote or on really small teams, might not have that experience. It might just be you're talking to a client and they say, hey, can you make the video look like this? And then you go to your computer at home and do it, and it's just you in your room. If you're ever working over the shoulder in a more classical environment, one thing that's really helpful to work on is getting really good at explaining things in a visual way. And I know it's hard to do since we're on a Zoom call right now, but go with me on this. One thing that I tend to do is one thing that really helps as well is we work with TVs. So we're not working on 14, 27-inch monitors. We're working with like 35 to 50-inch screens. It's easy for the client to see what's going on, and I can point to on the screen and explain to them, okay, here's what this layer is doing. Or the reason why we can't make this cut where you want is because of the duration of this clip from here to here. A way you can adapt this virtually is by doing a Zoom even and screen sharing if you want to go that in depth. So to also touch about cataloging, thankfully, a lot of clients don't really care about that other than the fact that your data is backed up, it is redundant, and also that it is organized. So as long as you can hit those 2 points and show them that, tying back into what was said earlier, that you know what you're doing, you'll be all right.
All right. Well, as far as me with editing, trying to remember your question, but I can tell you about the editing, how I edit. I was told, like, when I was in Full Sails, that they like how I edit pretty much, like the way I took the time to do it, because you have to pay attention. I don't know if it came because I've done music too, produced music, so I don't know if it has anything to do with that skill set, because I try to bring those skills in with the filming too as well. But when I edit, I try to like look at it, make sure it feels right, make sure it feels natural, because when you do all your cuts, you don't want it to make it seem like unreal. Well, if it feels like unreal, like yeah, it just have to like flow good. Sometimes you can edit, I think it's called a J&L cut, where you let the other person's voice go, like, to just kind of play out a little bit, showing the other clip pretty much, and it's kind of like smooth it out. Pretty much, you want to be smooth with your editing, especially with the voices, because I've seen that too. Some of the students that I was in class with, sometimes they just do a straight cut. You can hear that cut, and it sounds bad. And sometimes I encourage them, like, you want to like try to like to pay attention to that. Even your sound effects. If you have a plane going by, let that go. Like if you record somebody like a scene and they stop and a plane going by or a car will go by, you don't want to just stop the camera. You want to keep it going, let everybody be quiet, and let that sound hit. Because in post, when you edit, you can like have that airplane sound go when adding another cut in there, and smooth it out. I've done that a lot. So you just want to make sure your editing is smooth and it sounds natural, it sounds smooth to you, like you're really talking to somebody, like a smooth conversation, even though you have a lot of scenes, a lot of cuts, and a lot of time taken into it. So gotta pay attention to that. I don't know if that answered the question enough, but
I like it. No, 100% does.
right. Okay.
So moving on, if we don't have any other answers, if you've ever hit a rut, either creatively or in your career, what has kind of motivated you to kind of get back on that horse? We already talked about how this is definitely a feast or famine industry. So what gives you that motivation to kind of go towards the next island and, collect your food back up to then go back on the vast ocean?
I like creating. So I create with writing, music, and creating film. So I run into ruts where working for somebody else, I couldn't work. So I sit down on the computer. I've written a story. I've written cookbooks just to keep my hand in the writing aspect. I've got 45 cookbooks written, and I've got 15 of them published, as an example. And I have several short stories and long stories that I've got published as well. But it's just the idea of creating and keeping your mind sharp. I'll be turning 64 next month, this month. So getting in and out of different things, keeping your mind active, no matter what age you are, is a key factor right there. If you are working a 9-to-5 job, find something good about your job each day. Doesn't matter what your job is. If you can find something good about it, it makes your day go faster. Get your mind. You can take 5 minutes for yourself. Think about a story you write. Write that down. So when you get home, you can start writing on that story. Doesn't matter what it is. That helped me get through the ruts, being creative. And I think majority of the students here are creative. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in this DCBS degree.
Well, as far as me, I know, like, after graduating, Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have your ups and your downs. You're gonna have moments where you're hyped and ready to go, and you're gonna have moments where you're overwhelmed. It's gonna happen, you know. I mean, it may happen, it may not happen, you know. But for me, it did, and you know, sometimes you gotta like just take a sit down, just take a little break or whatever. Just maybe view some other things that people have done. Try to get yourself into something, like, you know, try not to take a long time to sit down, because I had my moments where I was you know, I was there for a little bit, but I got myself back up. I found something that I enjoyed filming, and one of them was my son. My son, like I said before, had a YouTube channel called Talk with Jay. Like I said, I started it on the phone, so that kind of kept me going. So now, I was doing that first. Then went to school. I learned. I didn't use my camera because I was intimidated by that thing. I saw all these buttons on the camera. It was intimidating, like to see like what all these buttons. So I didn't really understand it at first. You know, I was messing up, calling Mr. Baker, like, how you do this? Like, what happened? Like, my Zoom was out of control, like this and that, like calling Mr., you know. And then but as soon as I learned it, I study, I make sure I learned, I took the time to like look up tutorials and ask questions. And you know, but and I started using that same camera to actually start filming my son's shows. So I started to advance more. So it became fun to me. It became like a fun, because I believe when you film, when you do something like a career, it shouldn't feel like work. You know, it should feel like something you enjoy doing. You should enjoy it. Like, you could feel the work, you could be tired, work, whatever, but let your creativity, like what Carl said, let that be something that can hype you up. You know, look at your work, make sure you do your best work, and sit back and look at it, let people see it. And if people like it, they will tell you they like it or whatever. Like, go to the right person that's going to tell you the truth, you know. And it's good for people to check out your work, talk to your professors, make friends, you know. That's one thing that helped me. But right now, I'm doing this reality show, and I'm having like a lot of fun with it because it's something different for me. You know, this team they always, it's a dance group that always perform halftime for the NBA. So I get to travel with them and stuff like that. And you know, and this person always wanted to do a reality show, but didn't have nobody to work with them. So I took it upon myself to take the time to produce it, and we're gonna like really push this on. You know, so I'm taking the time. So it's not a paid thing, but it's fun for me to do. And I think this is something that that's going to be something good. So I'm taking my time using all my skills I have. I bought live mics for different people. So, you know, it's like I'm just using what I have. So you just gotta find that thing, that project that you like, that you can something that you can be proud of, and keep building it from that. If you see that you're getting better, just keep going. Just keep going. Get even better the next time. Because I don't make my mistakes with this reality show at first, but I found cuts that I can use to make it work. And then, you know, it gets better. Trust me. So,
yeah. Think outside the box when you're creating also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Julia who asked that question. Hi, Julia. Thank you for that. One thing that I would also add, maybe let's go a little bit deeper. It's really important to know what you want to do, what department you want to work in, and you know what you want to do with your career in this field. But when you hit a rut, you're not necessarily stalling as much as you are waiting to figure out the next step, because you're the person who's in control of your actions. So, talking from personal experience, when I've been in places where I felt stuck or where I didn't know what to do, I had to really dig deep. Let's get a little vulnerable here. Something that really ties back into a thread that's gone throughout my life is the concept of rejection. So at the start of my career, I started freelancing when I was 13 years old in post-production and in sound and producing. I live in a market where you can't just pick one lane and make a living. You have to wear multiple hats a lot of the time. So I was seen throughout the majority of my career up until this point as being the kid on the block or on the set. That comes with a lot of emotional issues. So anyway, with this is coming to is what really drives me at my core is fighting rejection or giving other people opportunities, which is why I've said so much tonight about taking care of your crew and making friends and going out and making connections in your network. Because I didn't really have somebody at the beginning of my career to say, hey, come on this project. If you're stuck in a rut, I would advise people to really just dig deep and figure out what's your driving motivation. Yes, absolutely. Find the thing you love to do and focus on your creativity, but also take an opportunity to really figure out what it is that drives you and then decide something to do or take a course of action that pushes you towards enhancing or following that thing. For me, it's people. So I went into the producing world. So I get to make the playground that the director of photography and the director and the rest of the crew get to play on. That's something that brings me a lot of joy because of the issues I had in my past. So if you can figure out how to do that, I think you'll be in great shape. Another thing as well is make sure you use that network. Talk to friends, call up people who also work in your field or in your department, not just to say, hey, what's going on? What's happening in the world right now? Or how many jobs have you been on this past month? But misery loves company is a great phrase, but maybe flip that on its head and try and encourage some people and see not just if there are any jobs around, but how you can also build up your local network and your local other departments.
Again, you guys hit it out of the park. Thank you very much. We're going to do about 2 more questions, if that's okay with all of you. So next question, we're going to jump ahead. Has any of your passions changed? Maybe you entered Full Sail with the hope of doing something and maybe it shifted once you learned something else was possible. Or did it kind of just strengthen what you wanted to do? Did you enter it and you're just like, yep, I was 100% sure. Now I'm 200% sure. This is what I'd love to do. Anything like that for any of you 3?
One of the things for me is that right before COVID hit, I was working at doing a concert as a grip, electrical grip. They knocked, and I was I'm not to mention the deal, but they knocked stuff off stage on top of me when I was taking something apart, messed my back up. Which before I was one of the people known as a strong man. I'd pick up a 500-pound box and move it around. Can't do that anymore. Bottom line. So I can't pick and carry equipment around like I wanted to. COVID hit. I went back to school so that I can learn other skills so I wouldn't be the one having to carry the big stuff around, setting things up where I can run everything. I knew how to run a lot of stuff anyway, but this gave me the opportunity to learn more things that I can run and I've worked in the aspect of being the person in charge, but without the credentials of having the degree, I would be looked over. Now that I got a call today to go do a job in Nashville. It's conflict with something else that's going on at the time, so I had to turn them down. But these are people that know me, that call me back, that know that I've got my degree, that are calling me up to go do these things. So one of the key things here in your local, I saw one of your questions, in your local area, check to see if you have any IATSE unions. That'll get your foot wet, your feet wet, and going out, they will put you to work doing anything and everything so you can understand what the industry does for doing concerts, movies, and a variety of things that way. That will give you an option to see if that's something that you want to pursue. Then you can work for big budget movies and you make a lot more money. That makes a big difference in the way a lot of it works. Chris, you've seen that from the ground up, stepping into places and understanding how all that works. If you're like me, if somebody says, hey, I need a grip, I learned how to do that grip and went and did that job. First time I had no idea what a grip was. I learned it. So not when they said you need volunteer to go do things and you can learn, and people around you will show you quite often because they had to start somewhere as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, for me, I would say I didn't lose any passion or anything as soon as I graduated. I was excited. I was hyped, especially after seeing the school, being an online student, after seeing everything, seeing all the possibilities and seeing all the names and the history of Full Sails and what people accomplished. I was hyped. you know. So I didn't like I don't feel like I lost anything, any ambition or anything. But I would say this when I first did my first my first project in school, my first film, the teacher said, like, I forgot who the teacher was, but he said that your first film, trust me, is gonna suck compared to what you're gonna do later on. And sure enough, like, you know, I look back at the first film and it was so horrible. It was crazy, but it was fun. It was a learning experience, but it wasn't like so horrible, but I saw what I could have done better, you know. The lighting, you know, you learn from it, but it was a comedy too, so it looked so crazy at the time. But compared to the one I've done a couple of months down the line, I took more time with it, and I'm like, wow, like, you know, what a difference. You know, I can show you guys, you see the difference. I'm like, wow. But it's a learning experience, like, through this whole thing, filming. Like, you see the shirt I have on? Like, I bought it from Amazon. It says film crew. Like, when I go filming, I don't go in regular clothes. That's just me. But I feel like when you go out to the field, you go. But before I say that, I know I'm jumping. Okay, when I did my first movie, I was a nervous wreck. You know, my wife could tell you, I was so nervous. I had people come in, I'm like, I don't know what to do. My first time doing this film, I was nervous, man. But you gotta, like, listen to the classes, whatever. They say always you have to, like, take care of your staff, at least provide food, provide a break and stuff like that. I had, like, I don't know how many people, like over 20, maybe 14 people come to my house the first day, you know, and it was very nerve-wracking. So I was able to provide a spread. You know, we made sure we kept it professional. We took breaks and everything, but I was nervous. But the more I film for people, for clients, even if it's for my own project, that was my own personal project for a school class project, you get more comfortable, right? Every time you do it somewhere, you film for like a new environment, for a new client, you feel nervous at first. That's why you got to keep going, do little things here and there. You know, if it's the smallest thing, because now my confidence is sky high. Now I feel like I can film anywhere, you know. Now, so what I learned, look up. You know, I went to Amazon, got me something that works. Film crew. I got a tag made. I did an LLC. My company is called Show Industry Production. I wear this tag. You know, I don't know. I think it looks more professional because when I walk in like this, I also, like, whoever else film with me, they have to wear a tag or wear a black shirt. I try to buy one of these for the people that's going to work with me, you know, and it looks good when you walk in the building, like with one camera, two cameras, whatever. Yeah, it looks professional. You want to give that professional look, and you walk in with confidence. You don't want to see them. You don't want to let people see you sweat. You know, now I can walk in anywhere. I was able to film for, like, known people like Tommy Davidson during this comedy set. I got connections with this guy named Ray Dijon. He used to, you know, run I think MTV or something like that. I believe it was MTV. He used to do something with Yo MTV Raps or something like that. But now he has a comedy club, and I met Michael Blackson. I was able to film his interview. Those were free events, but I'm able to put that stuff on my Instagram. So I would say try to find something that you put on your, like, build your portfolio, build your stuff that people can see. So sometimes you got to go out there and do some free events. It might hurt a little bit, but do it so that we can have that content and learn how to do things, learn how to get better at it. And then worry about the money. But if you, like Carl said, make sure you're established. Even if you have a little job, that's fine. Film on the weekends, film on the days that you can film, because it's time consuming. Yeah, yeah, just walking professionally, like, be confident. I filmed last night, actually, for another event. It was for a part of my reality show that I'm working with, and it was at this big cathedral church. Listen, I was, even though I'm confident, when I saw what I was filming at, these dancers, they had a big giant professional orchestra. I was nervous. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, the nervous hit me. But as soon as I walked in a place, I had to be confident. And then, you know, I was only there to film the the dances, but they allowed me to film you know, like the whole event. And we met some famous people that were there. The person from All My Children, Susan, I forgot her name. She played on All My Children. You know, it was like different people. Susan Lucci, yeah. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. I was comfortable with it. So I guess they saw how I look. They saw the tag, they saw the name, they saw my camera. So nobody bothered me, you know. So I just say, just be professional as you can. Just do your best and be confident, you know. Just try to build the confidence up.
Pro tip,
One
you
thing-
can get into a lot of places with a camera and a smile.
Yes. Yes.
Be kind, because you never know who's going to be, who will help you later on. The other thing is professionalism, like you said, a black shirt, black pants. If you can make yourself a name tag, who you are, makes a big factor right there. And smile. Sounds funny.
Thank you all. And very last question, if that's okay with you all. Really quick, is there someone or something that inspired you all to become a filmmaker or even just start working in the industry, if you can remember way back when?
Kurosawa, watching his movies. Akira Kurosawa was one of the few things that I enjoyed watching his stuff. As a filmmaker, taking pretty much nothing and creating the film with, and following his vision all the way through, was one of the big factors I enjoyed making movies with. And he inspired me.
After
Chris?
you, Shaun, I'm still thinking.
Okay. Shaun?
Okay, what was the question one more time? I was that a little distracted? I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. So is there someone or something specific that inspires your creativity or filmmaking or even got you in the industry in the first place?
Well, I would say like being that I never thought about doing this before school, my son inspired. And he was inspirational to me. But I just admire different films from other producers and stuff like that. But I never, like I said, I never thought about it until I actually went into it. But learning about different people, I learned to admire the work from the beginning, because it was a class that we took. I'm forgetting all these the names of these classes, but it was what's his name again? Man, I talked to him a little bit on LinkedIn. He's one of the instructors. He's the one that talks about the different movie history. Pay attention to that class, because you will learn how it started and learn different people that created movies. So I don't have anything like on the top of my head, but I admire the old work, the work from back in the days. You start to admire that. You start to appreciate the work more. And then when you watch TV or movies, anything, you will never watch TV the same again after that class, pretty much. So I think I just like the work of people, but I just don't have a favorite right now. I admire this, different styles.
So to sort of go into a little bit of depth on this, I came up in a generation where YouTube was a thing. And so I had the opportunity to watch a lot of different creators online and have access to a ton of not just knowledge, but opportunity to see different styles. I wasn't necessarily a movie theater kid or an iPad kid, but I was a YouTube kid. So just to throw some names out there, Peter McKinnon, Matty Poya, the classic, YouTuber people that focus on filmmaking. Film Riot was another big one. Full Sail, shout out. I think he graduated some time ago. But those three in particular were pretty inspirational for me, and I learned a lot from them. And on the topic of inspiration, I know we're trying to close out, but Mr. Diltz, could I have a special request? Would I be able to screen share by chance just to show something?
Yes, let's see if we can allow that. Let's see. You can want to try. You can try and see if it'll allow you to.
Great. Let me pull this up here. Thank you all for working with me on this. So I'm going to enable sound share here as well. I'm not going to play the full thing, but on the topic of inspiration, An opportunity that I recently had was to work with NBC and Peacock on a commercial for Big Ten Sports Saturday Night Live with Fall Out Boy. I was able to work as a production coordinator, which thankfully is in my realm of producing. Just to give you an idea on some of the visuals. Going to play a little bit of the song here, cut it because you don't know where this is going to end up. Tip on producing, you got to think about copyright. But just to verify that, it is the actual band. We have a lot of stuff going on here with different schools around the country that are in the Big Ten football circuit. I don't know who else knows a lot about sports ball or touch goal, but this was a really big opportunity for someone who wants to work in the commercial and narrative world like myself. So quickly, how did I get here? It all started back when I was looking to get an internship, touching on that question earlier, at OHD, which is a local company here in the Columbus, Ohio market. What you're looking at is the front page of their website, not a promo, but I need to use this image. This is their studio space. It's 1,300 square foot of cyc wall. And depending on where you live, you might not have a resource like this, but locally, this is one of the larger production entities in town. Now, me being a 15 or 16-year-old kid at the time at this story, not when I produced for Fall Out Boy, but when I was walking into this place for one of the first times, I walked in with a sparkle in my eye and a smile on my face, and a passion in my heart. Very naive because I was early on in my career, but I walked up to the person who owned the place and said, "Hi, my name's Chris. If you ever need help, let me know." And Scott Handel, the guy who owned the place, took me up on that and ended up offering me a job, not to work there freelance or part-time or full-time, but to paint that cyc wall. And I was ecstatic. So I ended up spending nights and days just coming in and doing that for a little while. What that led to was Scott putting me on a commercial project for a small political ad where I met some friends and made connections with a producer from New York. That producer remembered that I was in Columbus and that I wanted to do producing. So that was probably 2018 or so when that gig came along, or 2019. I was about 18 years old. Fast forward to last year, so 2022-ish, I get a call from a different company in New York who was friends with the person who remembered that I wanted to do producing. And they said, "Hey, we're looking for someone who can do boots on the ground work, pre-pro, and be on set and be a coordinator for this NBC spot." That's a great example of how just starting from literally the bottom, you can get to work on something that big. I had 13 PAs to delegate tasks to as a producer, a coordinator type role on that project. And you know what else is cool? Is I was able to survive that gig. I didn't lose my head. I kept my cool to answer the other question. How do you do that? I believe the question was earlier written in the chat. How do you deal with the stress, repetition? It took a lot of gigs up until that point to be able to execute on something at that level. But the whole point of this, the whole reason I'm sharing, is to just say it's possible. Whether you care a whole lot about using your degree to get into a 9 to 5 or just use it for experience, or you don't care, the repetition and putting in the reps through this is what's important. So that's kind of the cool thing. And thanks for letting me share that.
Yes, no, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Chris. Really appreciate that. All right, cool stuff. I think that's about it, right? Any final thoughts from you all? Final thoughts? And thank you all for sharing your contact info, whatever you can share, websites, social media. We have some students, of course, that want to reach out and stay in touch with you all, and we'll appreciate you all for sharing that. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Overall, just thanks for having us. And it's
thank you
been a real
all.
pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you all. All right. Well, that's all we have. Thank you again, Chris, Shaun, and Carl, for blessing us with this wonderful session.
This week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Alan.
much.
And thank you, Alan, for co-hosting. You all take care and
Edward has
stay tuned.
something to say.
Sorry, Deborah, we have run out of time. We've run out of time. Real quickly.
Yeah, the reason I was asking about the cataloging and whatnot is because one of my contacts that I got kind of an okay for the production, I said that I'd be required to catalog and edit videos. And when I heard the term catalog, and it's like, I don't know what this is. Never heard that before. So like, what exactly does that entail? Is that what we know is putting things in bins, or is that different, like physically putting things in catalogs? What exactly does cataloging entail?
And that's for any of you.
Yeah.
Carl, I just talked for like 5 minutes straight. If you have anything, now is the time.
It sounds like it could be a Carl
Nope.
question, right?
Well, what I found is cataloging the when you have a variety of things, such as take your film shot, you've got your script, you have different locations on your script, but in the script, it may, good example, you jump from point A to point B. When you are cataloging your film, you're not going to go across town to shoot in sequence. You're going to take and shoot everything in that one location. You're going to catalog this as this location. You're going to go to the next location, catalog, but you're going to say scene 1, take whatever it is. In the next location, you're going to say scene 2, because it is the second scene in your script as an example, but it's a different location. It's different cataloging to where you can go back in your editing side and figure out where everything is and how you can put it together in editing. Is that a simplified way of saying it, Chris?
Fairly, I would agree. One other note to add, if I may, would be if the task you're being asked to do by this potential employer is to catalog the footage that they give you, instead of going out and shooting it and make sure it's organized, put everything on a timeline, spread it all out in front of you. If they have it organized in some fashion, do little chunks at a time. But the big point is you need to be able to see everything and just start. It's an elephant. You need to eat it piece by piece. Using bins, labels, and color coding will be some of your best friends if what you're being tasked with is post-production. If it's shooting, make sure that when you do DIT work and you download all your information onto your hard drives, that one, it's copied, so you have redundancy. It's not just one card with everything on it. And 2, that you're able to then organize things and then hand it off to whoever is going to be doing post on it, so that when they can receive it, they know what they're looking at. If it's a big jumbled mess, it's no fun for anybody.
Awesome.
Thank
All right.
you. That
All right,
makes it a lot easier to understand.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, that's all we have for this one. Stay tuned for more DC Buzzes. Thank you again, Chris, Carl, and Shaun. And thanks again, Alan Harris, for co-hosting. You all take care. And we appreciate you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diltz.
Anytime.
Take care.
Thank y'all. All
Bye,
right, y'all
everybody.
take care.
Take care.